Few words about Boris Johnson. The election of England, I don't know if it's the tail wagging the dog kind of situation, but the election of the Prime Minister in the United Kingdom and Brexit, the politics of England, I don't know if they predicted Donald Trump. I don't know if Brexit predicted Donald Trump or if Brexit led on Donald Trump. A lot of people look at the Kentucky election as if it's, some kind of litmus test for the presidential election, because there's always a governor's race right before the presidential race. So there's currently a governor's race there now. Kentucky is just blindly conservative. They're just blindly right-wing, and they're heartless, pricks. Sometimes liberals go too far with their bleeding hearts and caring about people that maybe we shouldn't be caring about, but conservatives go too far with their psychoticness of not giving a goddamn shit about anybody except for their own fucking selves. So Kentucky, I think, will teach us nothing about what's going to happen. If the governor of Kentucky is chucked out, that's a big thing. That's huge, okay? That would be major. I feel as though Matt Bevin will most likely win that thing. Andrew Beshear could take it. So that would say something. That's the only way the Kentucky election would be relevant, is if Andrew Beshear beats Matt Bevin, a popular for the Republicans, a popular Republican governor for the Republicans. Are they going to chuck out in a conservative state a Republican governor? So, because the entrenchment of the Republican Party, essentially, Kentucky just sucks the Republican Party's dick, and they've been sucking it ever since, Mitch McConnell's been in there for 57 years. Now, the UK elections, on the other hand, they do tell us something. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's the, tail or dog wagon situation, chicken or the egg, which one comes first. So let's just talk about that. So Donald Trump gets elected right after the referendum for Brexit is passed. So Brexit is a conservative issue in England, the United Kingdom. So they passed Brexit, which was to break out of the European Union, to be their own independent selves, and they're going to be, forge a brand new path. And so Brexit was very much Trumpism. So, the Trumpism before Trump came around was called Brexitism. Brexitism is Trumpism. So the United Kingdom voted for Brexit. Is that because they saw the wins in America? Was that because they were watching our elections in America and they said, okay, there's that piece of crap versus that piece of crap? I think that piece of crap's going to win. So they were able to, essentially predict Donald beating Hillary. They voted for Brexit, so they were able to put themselves in a good position. England, the United Kingdom, believes that America is their greatest ally. So how America bends over backwards to make sure that Israel is the one indispensable nation, that's what Michael Bennet, my senator from Colorado, says. You have the politicians in the United Kingdom saying that America is their one most important ally, their indispensable nation. So I agree with England on that. America is the indispensable nation. Now we have Boris Johnson, okay? So what is the election of Boris Johnson? He's the Prime Minister, and then there's supposed to be snap elections. I don't 100% understand, but essentially the way it feels to me is you got the Queen who lords over everybody and watches all this shit, who has some power, too much power, frankly. I mean, they always say it's ceremonial, but why the fuck do y'all still have the goddamn kings and queens, England? And so you have the Queen that looks over everything, but then you have the Prime Minister, you got the House of Lords, the House of Commons, and they make sense. There's a logic to the thing. So the people vote for this, and then eventually, so Theresa May wasn't popular. Theresa May wasn't getting her shit done, so the Conservative Party essentially took out their own and then elected somebody else, so that way they can put a new face on the Conservative Party, so that way the Conservative Party doesn't completely lose out. And the election itself was anti-democratic. 99% of the United Kingdom had no choice when it comes to the Prime Minister. There's only 160,000 conservatives. So this party, which represents 0.02%, less than 1% of the people. You got 66 million total voters in the United Kingdom, but 160 conservatives were the ones that voted, and then, half of them voted for the other guy. So only 1% chose the next prime minister. So if anybody says that, England isn't a democracy, they don't have a constitution, they got kings and queens, no shit. No shit, they're not a fucking democracy. They have a democratic element. They got the, illusion of democracy. There was an election. The conservatives amongst themselves voted for, who they wanted. The conservatives, the party is the one that's in power today. So therefore, they just use the mechanism, right? So there's elections and there's choices. So there's some volatility. But essentially, the Conservative Party chose the Prime Minister, and the 160,000 Conservatives had the power, and 99% of the United Kingdom didn't have any power whatsoever. So when it comes to choosing the Prime Minister, so there's supposed to be some snap elections or some shit. So Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister, but I guess he's only got a short amount of time before a snap election is held because he kept on talking about defeating Jeremy Corbyn. So Boris Johnson, he's going to be the last chance, the last breath, the last gasp for Brexit to actually be successful. So Boris Johnson, he's all about Brexit. He's all about Brexit passing and, turning Brexit into something. So that's one big thing about Boris Johnson. He's all about Brexit. He loves America, thinks America is the most important ally, so therefore he's going to have a close relationship with Donald or, Bernie Sanders for the next president. And there's something else I was wanting to say. But, okay, so that's, Boris Johnson, he's actually a very good face for the Conservative Party. Theresa May was boring. She was not exciting. She was crappy. How the hell did Theresa May ever get power? Boris Johnson, he actually seems like he's got some poise and skill. The biggest thing about Boris Johnson is that he looks fun and jovial and he's exciting. So with a Boris Johnson leading the way, whereas Donald Trump just, fucking says stupid shit every goddamn day, when it comes to Boris Johnson, he's a very intelligent person. His whole point is to inspire the nation, to inspire the community, to inspire the citizens to stand up and to be more than, just themselves. So I'm going to tolerate a few gaffes here and there from Boris Johnson in exchange for his fun and enthusiasm. And so, because that's Boris Johnson's appeal, is that he's funny, and he's colorful, and he's exciting, and he's energetic, and he's intelligent. So Boris Johnson, if he's able to get a program, that the House of Lords and Commons can agree with, will be a very effective leader for the United Kingdom. Boris Johnson makes the Republicans in the United States look like a bunch of douchebags. Boris Johnson talks about unity. He talks about education, infrastructure, health care. My God, could you imagine a Republican in America talk about health care? Boris Johnson talks about health care. He talks about broadband internet in every single English household. So Boris Johnson makes the Republicans look like the douchebags that they are. So he's talking about education, infrastructure, health care, broadband internet in all English households, and unity. Unity. Donald Trump has not united this country. Donald Trump, was elected on the whole idea that he's not a politician. And so, in fact, his biggest, strength is also his biggest weakness because he don't know what the fuck he's doing because he's not, doing it like a politician. What would a politician do? Well, they'd be like Obama. And they would reach out to the Republicans in order to show good faith efforts that they're not trying to destroy the government by being a bunch of arrogant, pieces of shit. Obama wanted the Republicans, to work with the Republicans to get legislation passed, but the Republicans didn't give a shit about Obama, kept spitting in his face, kept slapping his, his helping hand out of the way. No, we want the country to fail. We want you to have we want you to be a one-term president, so we will fuck over this country. This is Mitch McConnell. We will fuck over America in order to make sure we get a Donald Trump. And surprise, surprise, that fucking tactic works. So congratulations. It's going to make America politics even more contentious. So you have, Donald Trump, who's the opposite of Obama. He's not a politician, so he's not trying to look good. He's not trying to bring both sides together. He said the worst speech he ever made was that speech after Charleston where he had to denounce the KKK. He was like, God damn it, I had to denounce the Klan. I had to denounce, he said, the Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan, but he didn't denounce the Confederates. And he said it was the worst speech he ever had to make. It was his staff that forced him to make it. So he essentially said shit he didn't really believe in because he rushed and defended those Nazis who killed Heather Heyer. right? Yeah, it's the Antifa. Antifa's the fucking problem, not the goddamn Nazis who's going to run over a peaceful woman who's just, standing there. So compare Boris Johnson to Donald Trump. There is no comparison. So let's keep on talking about Boris Johnson, because Boris Johnson is a conservative in England, but he's, they have a healthcare system over there, so that would mean to conserve the healthcare system, to keep it the same. So you got, he's intelligent, he's smart, he's talking about being united. Donald Trump didn't do shit to unite us. He didn't legalize marijuana. He didn't get us universal health care. He didn't declare war on poverty. He didn't end any of the 27 wars that we're in right now. So I'm not happy with 99.9% of his administration. He might have a dozen, tiny things. The Korean thing, going over there, stepping over the demilitarized zone. So essentially, he ended the Korean War, but it was, a stalemate Cold War. But he's, essentially warmed tensions up. That's good. What Donald Trump has done with North Korea is fantastic. That's great. But overall, he didn't give me nothing. He didn't give the left, the Democrats, nothing. What the fuck can the Democrats say that with our president? What has our president done? He lied to us 10,000 times and didn't do a fucking thing for us. So when it comes to being a politician, he wasn't like Obama. He didn't reach out his hands to the Democrats. He didn't try. He didn't even try to reach. He's been contentious and petty and just like, oh, fuck the Dems, just laughing as if they don't fucking matter whatsoever. So his political style is not to be a uniter. He doesn't believe in union. Boris Johnson believes in health care and internet for everybody and unity. So he's going to be a leader for all of England, including the liberals, but Donald Trump isn't a leader for all of America. Donald Trump is only a leader for his base, only for his fans. So he's got a fan club. He talks to his fan club. That's all he's doing. He's just doing shit for his fan club. He's not doing anything for the rest of the country. Now, Donald Trump has a strong cult of personality. When it comes to a politician, he's a robust contender. He's a decent politician, and he is a politician now, all right? He ran for office. He's been in a political party. How the fuck is he not a politician? So he is a politician, and he sucks at it. He's one of the shittiest politicians ever. He doesn't unite the country. He doesn't seem to care that his appearance makes us look stupid on the world stage. America needs to return to its rightful place on the world stage as a moral leader. We're not a moral leader no more. Donald Trump's our moral leader. He's our moral guider. He only appeals to his base. He didn't legalize marijuana. He didn't do, Boris Johnson's health care, Boris Johnson's broadband internet. He doesn't give a shit about Boris Johnson's dreams of unity. He doesn't care about the United States of America. He only cares that the, few Republican wealthy folks are happy. So I'm not happy with the Trump administration. After Venezuela, I kept holding on to like 5%, always saying, well, he did change everything. He does talk different. We're going to be, from now on, we're going to expect a real president. So we need a real fucking president after Trump. So that's Bernie Sanders, right? So there's a thing I want to talk about the economy, but I'm going to get to it because ultimately Boris Johnson, I think the politics of England, they seem to understand the world in a much more precise and accurate way. So Boris Johnson, he wants to be close to Donald Trump, but because Boris Johnson is energetic and he's a politician, he's going to represent the united England. He's not just going to represent the Conservative Party, he's going to represent the entire country of England. And so Boris Johnson, because of his charisma and intelligence and because he's a better politician and a better person and a better leader, that ultimately Boris Johnson is going to become Donald Trump's brain. Donald Trump will look at Boris Johnson and be like, oh, he's right about this and that, and then he will go along with it. So Boris Johnson is positioning himself to become the brain of Donald Trump. And again, he's all about Brexit. So, come hell or high water, Brexit is going to pass under Boris Johnson, whether that's good or bad. Boris Johnson said he's going to separate independence and friendship and figure out Brexit, right? You want to be friends with other countries, but you want to be independent too. So Boris is fun. Boris Johnson is exciting, smart, intelligent. He'd be a great motivator and inspirer of the people. He'd be a great cheerleader for London, England, the United Kingdom, the Royal British Empire. He will keep the United Kingdom united, not like the divided snakes of embarrassment He's not going to just further the divide. He's going to actually, bridge the divide. So, yeah, that's essentially my criticisms with Trump. I welcome Boris Johnson on the scene because my own president is such a piece of shit that Boris Johnson, it's okay that you're a conservative, but Boris Johnson says, he champions the conservative. He wants to convince you. He wants to convince you of his perspective. He's not just saying, I'm right, you got to kiss my ass, and if you don't kiss my ass, then you need to get out of my country. Somebody said that Bernie Sanders needs to get out of the country because he defends the people of Palestine. So we're just going to go and keep on kicking the Jews out, right? We're never going to stop persecuting the Jews. The Jews that say, stop murdering, stop killing people. He doesn't try to appeal to the left or the Democrats. He has done maybe a few dozen decent things that I like, right, when it comes to the end of the Korean War. But 99% of all his work is just pandering to the 1%. He kept us in all these 27 wars. He didn't bring about any more peace in the world than what Baby Bush or Obama or Bill Clinton did. The 1,000-year forever war continues on with no end in sight. Russia called Donald Trump the peace candidate. We haven't seen any peace from Donald. We got shit getting out of control on the border. ISIS is still on the run. I thought we conquered ISIS. Weren't we about to get rid of, get out of the Syrian war because ISIS was nearly wiped out? Oh, I guess they're still going strong. Who knows what the fuck is going on? But we're just supposed to believe what they tell us. The border is getting out of control. More violence on the border. 7 kids have died in our detention centers. Palestinians are still getting killed. People are still dying in Myanmar. Yemen, the genocide in Yemen is because of us and our ally, us being friends with Saudi Arabia. So even though we've, gotten Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, and ISIS, right, we conquered all these people. The Al-Qaeda, I heard, only had 100 members when this thing started. So we haven't killed 100 people yet. The war on terror continues on for thousands and thousands of years. So, yeah, Donald Trump sucks. So, Britain, when it came to Brexit, they predicted Donald Trump. They either gambled correctly or they led the discussion with the Boris Johnson v. Jeremy Corbyn race. That seems very reticent with the Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump race. We never got that conversation. We never got that title bout. So it's Bernie's time now. He's still also the champion, and he's the best candidate out of all the 25 candidates. So Bernie Sanders has got this in the bag as long as he keeps doing his thing and the people keep doing theirs. So I don't totally understand how their snap elections work, but he was talking about defeating Jeremy Corbyn as part of his motto. He's had DUD, so unity and something, democracy and defeat, and then energy for dude. I don't know, some stupid joke, but he's, part of his motto is unity and also defeat, which is defeat Jeremy Corbyn. And usually this is a Nixon thing whenever there's a stop, X movement, stop Trump, stop, Bernie Sanders. Whenever there's a stop X movement, bet on X. Because they want to stop them because they look inevitable. They look like they're going to, make it. And so therefore, Boris Johnson will be leading the Stop Jeremy Corbyn movement. So expect a snap election this year to happen. Boris Johnson kept talking about October 31st. Brexit was going to happen, so I don't know if that's when the snap election happens. But Boris Johnson is the prime minister up until then, and then when there's snap elections, then we'll see if Jeremy Corbyn gets his chance. If Jeremy Corbyn beats Boris Johnson, which kind of seems inevitable, it seems like the likely result. Boris Johnson is very charismatic. He hadn't been given much chance. And so in some respects, people might get used to him being the prime minister for the next 3 or 4 months and like him and want to keep him so much that, let's give him another chance and screw over Corbyn. So it's slightly different, but a Jeremy Corbyn victory in England would signal a Bernie Sanders victory here in the United States. If Andrew Bashir beats Matt Bevin, it's not very exciting. He is a liberal, and so they have some very strong contrasting opinions, but he's also a moderate, so he's just slightly left of center. So you're going to have a moderate, slightly left of center candidate that takes Kentucky, and then people will say, well, hell, we need to get Joe Biden in there. He's a slightly moderate, left of center candidate. Kentucky doesn't have elections. They don't have a democracy. They don't have initiatives. They have so many problems. 80% of them, 90% of Kentuckians say fuck the government, and they don't even vote. So they don't even give a shit about being a part of their own democracy. And I do believe that government should be small when it comes to spending and when it comes to size and the bureaucracy. But when it comes to the democracy, I want government to be so big that it includes every single one of us. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is the economy, okay? So the economy. Donald Trump has been very stupid. He's making money. He's enriching himself. I have no confidence. I have zero confidence in this president. And that's how they do it in England. Essentially, once the confidence of the legislature has been lost and they pick a new prime minister. Theresa May had tried to do Brexit several times. She couldn't get it through. You know, she got in the whole debate. I think that the Conservative Party has done this and that and this and that and, you know, doing their thing. I think prime minister questions, and I like how they have those debates, how they have the leaders of the two parties essentially spell out what they represent and how they would be a better choice. So Donald Trump, you know, people say, oh, the economy is great. There's actually a lot of people that's sounding the alarms. I'll actually talk about this on a different one. So this one was about Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson, I welcome Boris Johnson on the scene because my president sucks so goddamn bad. You know, I have nothing wrong with conservatives, you know, by themselves. I have a, you know, problem with somebody that's just purely conservative or purely liberal, as if what, just sticking with what is going on now, or maybe going backwards. Maybe we should go backwards. That's how the conservative keeps things the same, or maybe they go backwards. But the liberals want to change things and move things forward. And so to, you know, also the heart, the brain, you need, you know, community and the individual. You need balance. You need balance. So Boris Johnson is a conservative who has balance. He seems to have a heart. He's fun. You couldn't be fun and exciting if you know, weren't a good person. So he clearly has the confidence and he believes in himself. So if Donald Trump could act more like Boris Johnson, then we might actually have got a president. But I've lost all hope in Donald Trump actually running this country as a united, you know, states. He doesn't give a shit about any of the liberals or the Democrats or any of the leftist people in this country, which is more than half the country. So he's not the president for everybody. He's only a president for a few people. And so, yeah, I welcome Boris Johnson because, comparatively speaking, Donald Trump looks like a total douchebag compared to him. Also, Boris Johnson, the only things that they've spoken out about is he's, you know, said this or that. He didn't look at a brief, and then, you know, something happened in Iran. Some people were thrown in prison or some shit. So he's young. That's kind of a small thing. It wasn't like he did the thing, but he made a mistake or some shit. He said something about the only problem with Libya is that they got to get past all the dead bodies. And while that's, you know, callous, essentially that's the truth. So they had a civil war, and now Libya's completely changed. So you need to start from, you know, ground zero. You need to start with the blank slate. And so that was a callous remark. But, you know, he's out there. He's being fun and exciting. He's going to say a few gaffes here and there. He's not going to be like Joe Biden where you say a few gaffes here and there and you're totally pointless and irrelevant, so you're just a fucking gaffe machine. Boris Johnson will be, you know, 98% on top of his game, and he might say, you know, a gaffe here and there, and we all learn from the gaffes. So really, I, you know, encourage Boris Johnson to have more gaffes compared to Donald Trump, who is just one big fucking gaffe every goddamn day. Donald Trump can't open his mouth without being a fucking gaffe. And says stupid shit every fucking day. Every goddamn day he says stupid shit. And is it one big distraction so he can make a ton of money, so he can get his pedophile billionaire friends like Jeffrey Epstein off the hook? Is that what's happening right now? So it doesn't give me any confidence in the leadership, whereas he is the, you know, Molotov cocktail into the system. Now we need our own Molotov cocktail into the system, and we only got a few, you know, progressives: Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Mike Gravel. I don't know what's happening with his campaign. Tulsi, I like Tulsi and her foreign policy. She's so damn wooden, though. She needs to, you know, she could learn from Boris Johnson too. But ultimately, we only got a handful of, you know, of the Molotov cocktails for the left to be able to defeat Donald. So we need our own Molotov cocktail into the system, into, you know, in order to be victorious. Okay? So if we didn't have Donald Trump around, I don't know. I liked when it came to the baby Bush days, I liked Tony Blair's accent, and so Tony Blair put just a British intelligence on the fucking craziness of baby Bush. And so whereas baby Bush is dumb and uneducated and we had no expectations for him, Tony Blair essentially was like, blah, 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 and just, made fucking crazy shit sound fucking golden. And so I don't know how he did it. I think that the British people are just more intelligent overall. They have a more intelligent press, a more intelligent civil society. They run their campaigns so much better. They seem to have a wisdom that when they come to Brexit, so they saw the winds in America were changing, and so I think they correctly predicted it and then probably also influenced the election at the same time. So Britain knows that they influence our election, whereas Kentucky, they don't have any clue, right? It would be brilliant if Kentucky, the Green Party, if all of a sudden Kentucky just voted Green Party. That would be brilliant for Kentucky, but Kentucky would never do it because they don't want to be, viewed as independents. They're just like dead fish. They just want to go along with Mitch McConnell's flow. Mitch McConnell's flow. How much flow do you think Mitch McConnell's actually got? Hey, look at Mitch McConnell. Let's just go with his flow. Yeah, let's go with his flow for fucking thousands of years. Who gives a shit, right? Kentucky, who gives a fuck? So, I don't know. I guess if I compared Boris Johnson to Barack Obama, I think they're in the same league. He's, Barack Obama was a good, he tried to unite the people, so he's a great leader. Barack Obama is a great leader. He passed more major pieces of legislation than every president since Truman, so he was able to get shit done. He was smart, intelligent. He didn't fuck up, so many goddamn times like Trump does. So I like Boris Johnson. Actually seems more real, more authentic. He's fun, jovial, exciting. So, I want to look more into his ideas, but he's, talking about universal health care, education, broadband internet for all English households. So, if we could get that compared to America, Boris Johnson's a liberal. He's for health care, internet for everybody, what, just for free or for real cheap? Why would we do that? Why would we help the whole people and get them some internet? So, we're not a bunch of evil pieces of shit? I don't know. Anyways, that's Boris Johnson. Peace.